How I went from laid off to full-time business owner. Hi everyone, I'm Kristen, an entrepreneurship coach and business astrologer for women who are ready to take the leap into entrepreneurship. In the description box below, you'll find how to receive a custom data-backed, spiritually guided report revealing your ideal business direction, your ideal clientele, and your natural way of connecting and selling. More on this towards the end, but let's get right to the video. So, September of this year, 2025, I was laid off from my 9 to 5 job and I worked for that employer for about 10 years. There was a restructuring in leadership and my department's budget was closed. I did not receive prior notice, but the plan that I had had for myself for years was to quit and work full time in my astrology business. That had been a desire of mine before I met my husband, but I wanted to get married first, which I did, and then quit. So he and I were discussing it for a while. And earlier this year, I did ask my employer, I did put in a request to work part time, but was denied as I was actually getting a lot more work piled onto me. But my job, after restructuring in September, months later, the job ended up making its decision for me. But let's take it back a few years. So after I completed grad school in December 2020, I got my MBA in May of 2019 and my data science master's in December of 2020. I applied for various data roles as during that time, that was during COVID, tech was hiring a lot. I received a good number of interviews, but ultimately turned down the ones that did offer me positions, as although I was more than qualified for those roles, it didn't feel right in my heart. It felt like I was applying for them only because that was the expected thing to do. And even some of the panelists in the interviews that I had were so rude, and I wasn't about to leave the job where I was well respected to get a better job title and better pay, but to sit there and work with people who were already being nasty on the interview panel. So during that time, I was having an extreme spiritual journey, an extreme spiritual awakening. And dating was not going well for me at the time, and I had to understand why I was showing up in ways that wasn't healthy. There was a lot of self exploration on my part, both in what I wanted to do with my career, what I wanted my love life to look like. And so my job was safe at that time, so I leaned on it while I was getting my values and my personal life together. And during that time, I became an unskeptic of astrology. That was part of my spiritual journey. It was the first system that I had encountered that showed me who I was as an individual. I felt extremely validated. And I learned that there was so much more to it than just the newspaper horoscopes or pop astrology, as they call it, and completely dove into the history of it over millennia and how it influenced religion. For me, it was like being in school all over again, which I love school. I love learning. And so I was really obsessed. But when it came to school, I was taking something external and learning it and building it internally into my brain. But with astrology, I was reading myself back to me. The more I studied it, the more confident I became in my own identity. And as a data scientist, I looked at it as an algorithmic system constantly churning out data on people, data on cultures, and our behaviors over time. It was the first time in a long time where I was excited about something and I could create something new by applying my analytical business skills to it. So I got my graduate degrees because they would make me money in the workplace, but I did not love any of the job descriptions. By this time, I realized that everything I committed to needed to be spiritually aligned. And I had to be really honest with myself about how I like to work. I love working. I love solving problems no matter what hour it is. Even if it's 3 a.m., I'm wide awake on my laptop, on my computer, in a hoodie, obsessed over some type of analysis. I realized that I love working from home on my own time, being my own boss, and I was also considering what my future was going to look like. I was putting pieces of my future self, my future life together, and only making decisions today that would give me a particular outcome tomorrow. Because astrology was so integral for my spiritual growth, I learned enough to begin giving readings part time and ultimately filed for an LLC in 2023. I was mostly getting clients from referrals, word of mouth, my friends, and it felt really good to serve clients, to receive clients, and see their faces light up, for them to be validated and gain clarity in their own identities, just like how I experienced it myself. But it was still part time and I wasn't charging as much because I was a beginner. And my full time job was my only real, steady, predictable source of income. And then I decided to put business aside for a bit so I can focus on getting married in 2024. So we're here in 2025. In January, I requested to work part time but was denied. In July, I received a large wave of new clients. In September, I was laid off from my full time job. And then in this holiday season, I received another wave of new clients. And so I'm grateful for my husband's support, but I instantly had to pivot. But I took cues from my clients and the questions that they were asking. They were asking different questions now as I was building up more in my business. They were asking about their careers and what businesses would be a good choice for them to start. And I even obtained a few new coaching certifications to improve my skills and be able to meet their needs, including a business coaching certification and an entrepreneurship coaching certification. So, in short, I started before I was ready. I was playing around with my skills, my experience, my interests, my education, and I put myself out there early in a small way just to test the waters. And in the midst of this economic chaos, I've found my unique calling that helped my clients get clarity in their own business and life purpose. But this year of so many layoffs, it forced me on how to solve real problems for clients who are looking for economic guidance and how they can navigate this new terrain with their existing skills. My purpose was helping them find theirs. And so my journey to entrepreneurship included getting skills in the traditional sense of going to university, but powered through self improvement, self exploration, and self discovery. And because I've done that personal and mental work, and then plus the real life, real world experience of starting a business, having a full time job, all of that experience, I can guide clients in their own path, their own business outlook, and their own timing and season of life. And the thing I love most about my business is that it is custom to the client. I don't give anyone cookie cutter advice because all are in different stages of their lives, whether that be new mothers who also want to start a business along with the birth of their child, or retired women who want to do something new. And there's not a lot of tailored advice out there online, and that's to be expected because you put out a video or some sort of content, an article for a lot of different people to read. It's not always going to apply to every single person directly. And so, not everyone is going to be a coach or should be a coach. Not everyone is going to be in tech. Some will run franchises or create something brick and mortar. Not everyone wants to work from home. They may even have multiple businesses. So it's not necessarily about chasing trends, it's about what your soul came here to build. And so there are many different businesses to run, and how hands on and visible my client or the entrepreneur wants to be. And because of this job instability out there, many people are having to pivot quickly into entrepreneurship and learn how they can operate and sustain themselves outside of a 9 to 5. Not everyone is going to have the same strategy or go the same route. So, with all of that being said, if you want to cut out so much of the guesswork around entering entrepreneurship and what business direction is right for you, I've created the Goddess of Commerce Codex report that tells you what businesses and industries that you are naturally designed to thrive in so you don't get stuck selling the wrong thing, your aligned clientele so you don't spend forever talking and trying to sell to the wrong people, and your natural way of connecting and selling so because not everyone is meant to sell or should sell like a car salesman. So you can pair this with those 5-day niche offer and sales challenges so you can show up in those group sessions already knowing what your strengths, skills are, and what direction, business direction you should go into. Or you can even decide to get the report now and build over the course of the next year, slowly building your business idea during research, as you may not want to rush into business right now, but you've already got a head start with what this report tells you about yourself. So, regardless, the Goddess of Commerce Codex is a report that you can continue to go back to again and again. It's not just something where you read once and go, unless that's your thing, but it's definitely something that you can spend a whole lifetime reviewing over and over again. So this is where spirit meets data, and you'll find the codex linked in the description box below. So I hope that you found this video insightful. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.